Hi, it's Tziporah here. So today I'm talking with you about the 10 do's and don'ts in raising a child to have healthy boundaries and a healthy sense of self. So number one is you don't want to criticize or ask too many why questions. So this means like, why are you doing this? Why do you look like that? What are you doing here? Instead, you want to be giving them room to figure things out and encouragement. And basically, you only want to step in if they're in danger or severely damaging something. And if we nourish this, then in the future, they will just be more natural to ask for help and ask for suggestions on really what the correct way to do things is. Now, if we are overly critical and asking too many questions all the time, it can cause a perfectionism. It can cause them to be very defensive in regards to any input whatsoever, negative feedback, positive feedback, any type of critique. And it can also create an internal negative voice that tells them that they are defective or they don't do anything good enough and so on. Number two, you don't want to show frustration or annoyance or irritation or anger at their tantrums or bad moods because a child doesn't know how to express their emotions. They act out on them. So when we show frustration at this, it stamps out the child's ability or comfort in expressing their emotions, and they can learn to repress things. So what you do want is to respond to your child's emotions with compassion, questions, ask what are you feeling. You want to nourish this emotional vocabulary. Parents need to understand that these are just emotions, and showing empathy to a child will help build their empathy, which does affect all our interpersonal relationships in life. So if this is done in a very angry, critical, annoyance-filled way when they have a tantrum, it can cause repressing of feelings, feeling ashamed of emotions, numbing the emotions, and acting on them instead of expressing them. Number three, you don't want to treat the child like an annoyance or a burden or push them away when you're busy. And what you would rather do is explain that you're busy. So show them that you're involved with them without being glued to them. So rather than saying, go to your room, you can take them to their room, set them up with the book, and let them know that, hey, mom's just working out there, and I hope you have fun in here, and I'll check in on you, basically. And then just some acknowledgements and check-ins. How are you going? How's your book? And this kind of shows them that you don't need to be glued together in order to be involved. Now, if one is just pushing the child away or making them feel like a burden all the time, it can really cause severe insecure attachment, social anxiety, feeling unwanted or like a burden, and tend to lead to isolation as well, to just not be around people whatsoever. Number four, how parents treat each other or speak about each other is very important in the eyes of a child, and this is regardless of the relationship status. So you don't want to speak negatively about the other parent. You do want to have discussions while keeping in mind that the child does internalize everything, because each parent is 50% of the child, and the child does not know how to separate themselves from this. So that when they hear mom is a bad person or dad is a bad person, the child makes that into I am 50% a bad person or I am 100% a bad person. So the negative statements, regardless of if they are true about the parents, are taken upon the child, and they do take this as themselves. So it can cause a very negative self-image, core shame, insecure attachment, and commitment issues. Number five, you want to praise the person, not the material or the action. So basically, rather than saying, oh wow, that picture is perfect, you would say something like, wow, I'm so impressed that you are so creative and you made that picture. So it's making it about the child's creativity and not the picture being perfect. So if we praise the result rather than the person, it can create people pleasing, it can create performance-based love, it can create tunnel vision or just result-focused behaviors and perfectionism. Number 6, negative talk. So not speaking negatively in front of the child is a huge thing. So when we speak negatively, it has a very severe effect on a child. So you don't want to speak negatively about the world, about situations, about yourself, about others. You do want to speak to the positive side of things. And if we speak always on the negative side, then it can cause in a child catastrophizing, depression, anxiety, or just a general feeling that the world is a bad place. Number 7, ask, don't tell. So you want to ask questions rather than telling a child. So asking encourages introspection, it encourages the ability to think for the self, it encourages the ability to have a strong voice and to feel their position and their voice matters. It helps with boundaries and having a stable sense of self. Telling, on the other hand, can create a submissiveness and diminishes the voice and removes the sense of self. Number 8, I feel when instead of you make me feel. So if something is very frustrating, because no parent can handle every single thing 24/7, sometimes things do get very upsetting, frustrating, annoying, and so on. So if something's happening, we should say something like, I feel frustrated when you throw the food, instead of you make mom frustrated when you throw the food. So saying I feel when rather than you make me feel can really eliminate the core shame that's implanted when a child does something and gets in trouble for it, essentially. So I feel takes away the shame from a you make me feel statement. And if we do this the unhealthy way and say you make me feel, it can cause the child to feel like a bad object, like a burden, and create some core shame and self-blame and guilt within them. Number 9, empty words. You want to make sure that your words have integrity and value. So if you say something like, you'll get a candy if you do this, or you'll get punished if you do this, and then that is not followed through with, then it's very confusing for a child. So children are able to be rewarded and reprimanded in healthy ways, of course. And if we say something and don't follow through with it, it can teach a lack of integrity and devalues words. So you want to, even if plans change or something changes, you want to explain to the child that something has changed and that the previous words are not what we're holding to anymore, basically. So subconsciously, when we devalue words like this, it teaches the child that there's no integrity in words and that they can even lie and it's totally fine. So the final point is reparenting. So this means if we mess up as a parent, because nobody's perfect and we can't always do things right, if we mess up, then we can reparent the child, which means we can go back and let them know about the situation, meaning you can explain to the child that you were feeling very strong emotions and it's nothing personal to them. You can educate the child on what the proper response or behavior or wording should have been. You can reassure the child that they are not a burden, it is not them personally, and that everybody has emotions and we should all strive to express them in appropriate ways rather than acting on them. So these are ways that you can show the child that even if the parent messes up, you can let them know the proper way to do it and that it wasn't personal to them. And any of the messages that came across from the improper response or behavior that they witnessed or that they experienced, you can help them see what the healthy way should have been. So if you like any of these points or relate to us in any way, please feel free to get in touch, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.